Hi and welcome to today's Talking Treasures. I'm Ben Miller, the Assistant Curator of Ceramics here at the Potteries Museum. Today we're going to be talking about the ceramics that we use every day in the restaurants that we go to, in the hotels that we stay in, the ceramics that we don't usually give a second thought because they're not the prettiest ceramics in the world, they're not the most valuable, but it's an incredibly important part of the industry here in Stoke-on-Trent. So come and join me in the ceramic stores where we can take a closer look at some of this pottery. Hello and welcome to the ceramic stores. Now, the ceramics we're going to be looking at today are different from those ceramics that me or you may have at home in that they are made specifically for the hospitality industry. And the hospitality industry covers things such as hotels, restaurants, pubs, places that we go to for food, drink, on vacations and things like that. And these places, these require ceramics that differ quite a lot from the ceramics that we might have at home. So the specialisation as far as creating ceramics for the hospitality industry is something that's evolved here in Stoke-on-Trent over about a period of 250 odd years. So starting in the early 18th century, we have things such as this brown salt glazed stoneware tankard made for tavern, for an inn, for the refreshment of travellers visiting there who want a nice refreshing quart or a pint of ale. This one bears an impressed mark AR, which stands for the monarch at the time, Queen Anne, and it is what is known as a measure mark. So this was a way of ensuring that when you went to an inn or a tavern and you purchased your pint or your quart of ale, that you were getting the correct measure. So the creation of these tankards really does mark the beginning of a specialised supply in the hospitality industry that was taken up by potters here in Stoke-on-Trent. So moving on a few decades, I mean, we get these wonderful examples here of cream coloured earthenware or creamware and white salt glazed ware. Both of these would have been extremely popular in inns and taverns for the provision of serving food to travellers, to people who wanted a meal at an inn or tavern, and huge quantities of this kind of material comes out of the ground when excavating places like chop houses, which was kind of a word for an early restaurant, coffee houses and places like that. And they were made by a huge number of different potters throughout the area. Now everybody's familiar with this blue willow pattern, underglaze printed blue, hugely popular in the 19th century, still popular today. And this one is particularly interesting because it has the name of the establishment it was made for. So this plate will have been used in the Ship Tavern, which was located on Water Lane in London. And it's an absolutely wonderful example of, a specialised production of ceramics used for the hospitality industry and made for one particular establishment. This will date to about 1833. It's a marked clues piece, very rare, and a wonderful example of a kind of badged ware. Again, we have this marked piece of Ironstone. This was made for Trinity College in London. Again, the name of the establishment is printed there again, so this piece wouldn't go missing. This piece was branded to that establishment, and you can kind of see a nice underglaze blue printed decoration with some overglaze enamels. And Ironstone, hugely popular in the US and in the American market at the time because of its durability. It was seen as being kind of very durable. It would survive the rigours of the hospitality industry, whether it was a Trinity College or whether it was an inn or a tavern. And what made it particularly kind of attractive to the US market as well was that it was durable and it travelled well. So it was likely to get to America in one piece, and it was likely to remain intact should you need to take that kind of hundreds or thousands of miles across the country to wherever its final destination was. Moving on to the 20th century, what's wonderful cup here. As you can see, it's marked British Antarctic Expedition. This was made by the company Bennett, who are kind of the predecessors of Steelite, who we know today, who are a very big and successful company producing hospitality ware. And this was made for the British Antarctic Expedition and advertised at the time in 1911 as, a kind of a ceramic body that was able to withstand the rigours of travelling to the Antarctic and everything that came with it. So a real kind of almost a sales kind of pitch, a PR opportunity for Bennett at the time to be able to supply the British Antarctic Expedition with their ware and to be able to say that their ware could survive the rigours of going to the Antarctic. A really nice piece again. A lot of you might be familiar with this. This is the cube teapot, hugely popular in the first half of the 20th century. It's called a cube teapot because it's a cube. Hospitality wise, very, very popular. Its design obviously is very kind of Art Deco, but the design is as practical, if not more practical than it is kind of beautiful and aesthetic. You can see the spout here is tucked in. That's not going to get knocked off. The knob or the finial here is sunken down, so again that's not going to be knocked off when you're moving it around. And its square shape made it absolutely wonderful in the sense that a lot of the larger set, which we don't have here sadly, we just have the teapot, it will have come with the creamer, the sugar bowl, cup, saucer, which will have sat inside a very nice kind of rectangular tray with a lip, and it would have kept it all kind of neat and compact together. And they were particularly popular on cruise liners. So the wonderful cruise liners of the time, the kind of 20s and 30s, would stock cube teawares because it was both popular, fashionable, and very, very practical. Next, we're moving on to, again, practical issues. Teacups. What you're going to do if you've got lots of teacups, if you're a tea room, Lyons tea rooms in the early 20th century, very, very popular. You wouldn't want to kind of store hundreds and hundreds of teacups side by side. It's going to take up a lot of room. You make them stackable and you make them secure when stacked. So again, space saving and a very specific design intended to maximise the usability of it in a hospitality setting. We don't necessarily need to do this at home. We might have several teacups at home, but we're going to have space for those in the cupboard. When you're talking a kind of having hundreds of teacups, you want something that's stackable, and these could perhaps stack 6, 7, 8, 9 high, and you're going to get an awful lot of teacups and saucers in a relatively small space. So again, a kind of function to the form. As we saw with the 1830s blueprinted ship tavern plate, that was what we would refer to as badged. So it had the badge or the name of the institution it was made for on it, which was very useful, obviously, in identifying it should somebody decide to take it. But it's also a good way of advertising the establishment that you're in. And this wonderful example here, this J.E. Heath, who were a relatively kind of small to mid-scale manufacturer of hospitality ware here in Stoke-on-Trent during the 1950s, have this absolutely wonderful plate which basically contains numerous badges for establishments, mostly in Africa, especially in South Africa, Pretoria and places like that. And like I say, this no doubt would have perhaps been displayed in the showroom, just showing the kind of extent of the trade that J.E. Heath were doing at the time. They were sending ceramics out all around the world. They were sending them to hotels, to coffee houses, and yeah, just this one plate just kind of encapsulates the extent of the trade of the hospitality ware. It went to all four corners of the globe. It went to the Antarctic, it went to Africa, it went to Australia, it went to the States. It really, really did cover the four corners of the globe. This is a really nice cup and saucer here, made by Royal Dalton, and this little decoration here, if you can see closer, is a kind of stylized silhouette of Concorde and this will have been used on the Concorde planes, the British Airways Concorde planes, as obviously first class service on a plane. It's nice ceramic body, it's robust, it's wonderfully designed, and it's an example of Stoke-on-Trent hospitality ceramics being used in the air. They were used on the land, obviously in restaurants. They were used at sea with the cube. So yeah, whether it was kind of land, sea or air, Stoke-on-Trent had your ceramics covered. And the industry still thrives today here in Stoke-on-Trent. I mean, we may have all heard of Steelite and Churchill and Dudson as of a few years ago. But they're still making top quality ceramics used in the hospitality trade, and they supply everybody from 7-star hotels in Dubai, right down to very, very popular chain pub here in the UK, if anybody can guess what that is. So yeah, I mean, the industry is still hugely important to Stoke-on-Trent. The sheer volume of ceramics made for the hospitality industry to this day is large. It employs a huge amount of people. It preserves skills, and it really is an important part of the industry, and one that's perhaps not given the kudos it deserves. But I mean, we all enjoy a meal out at a restaurant and things like that, and it's worth thinking about where your plates are made. And I mean, everybody in Stoke-on-Trent flips the plate over and has a look where it's made. It's just a habit. So next time you're out, maybe do it and see if you've got one that was made in Stoke-on-Trent. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that whistle-stop tour of ceramics made for the hospitality industry, and don't forget to join us again for more Talking Treasures.